I joined Madison's friend group in 8th grade thinking I finally found my people. But her group chat wasn't a friendship. It was a surveillance system where she tracked every follow, every seat, every post. When she screenshotted my private DMs and blasted them to the whole grade, I had 48 hours to document everything before she could delete the evidence and rewrite history. The moment I realized our friend group wasn't a friend group, it was a monarchy, and I was standing at the gates with 48 hours left before Madison Reyes buried me. My name is Priya. I'm 14. I moved to Westbrook Middle School in September of 8th grade, which, if you know anything about middle school, is social suicide timed to perfection. The lunch tables were already claimed. The friend groups were already sealed. I was the new kid with color-coded highlighters and the specific kind of loneliness that you have to smile through. ACT 01. Heitau IT started. It was a Wednesday in October, 8:14 a.m. I was standing outside Mr. Okafor's homeroom trying to figure out where the pencil sharpener was. Which, yes, is exactly as tragic as it sounds. When Madison Reyes appeared beside me like she'd been placed there by a casting director. Perfect blowout. A hydro flask with exactly 4 stickers. And a smile that landed on you like a spotlight. You're the new girl, she said. Not a question. Just a fact she was choosing to acknowledge. My stomach did that embarrassing thing where it tightens because someone popular is looking directly at you. Yeah, I said. Priya. Cool name, she said. And then she walked away. That was it. 20 seconds. But for the rest of that day, I felt like I'd been noticed. Really noticed. For the first time since I'd gotten here, I replayed it during second period. I replayed it at lunch, sitting alone at the end of a table near the recycling bins. I know how that sounds now. But I didn't know yet. That's the whole point. ACTTWO, she a friend group. 2 weeks later, Madison invited me to sit with her group. It happened fast. One day I was at the recycling bin table, the next I was at the center table by the windows. The table that got afternoon light, the table everyone else angled their trays toward when they walked in. There were 5 of them. Madison, obviously. Then Chloe, who laughed at everything Madison said exactly half a second after Madison started laughing. Then Bree, who was quiet in a way that felt careful rather than shy. Then Dev, the only other person in the group who moved to Westbrook mid-year, 2 years earlier. And then me. Dev was the one who made it feel real. She slid her tray next to mine on my first day at the table and said, quietly, "Don't let the seating arrangement fool you. There's a hierarchy." Then she stabbed a piece of pineapple with her fork and didn't explain further. I laughed. I thought she was joking. She was not joking. Dev became the closest thing I had to an actual friend in that group. She'd been there long enough to know the rules. Who Madison liked this week, who she didn't, what topics made her eyes go cold and flat, and she'd pass me notes sometimes. Little warnings. Madison's in a mood today. Don't bring up Jalen. Compliment her jacket. I followed the notes. I thought that was just how friendship worked when you were new. I didn't realize yet that Dev wasn't handing me friendship tips. She was handing me a survival guide. ACT AP Re. Hayde Madison worked. Here's what nobody tells you about a person like Madison Reyes. She doesn't yell. She doesn't exclude you loudly. She does it so quietly that you spend 3 weeks wondering if you imagined it. It started small. A comment about my lunch. "Oh, you eat that," with a look at Chloe that lasted exactly 1 second too long. Then a joke about the way I pronounced a word, repeated back to me slowly like I was a child. Then a day where she responded to everything I said with, and turned to talk to Bree instead. Every time, I'd go home and think, maybe I'm being too sensitive. That's the thing about Madison. She made you doubt your own read on reality. She'd be cruel and then kind within the same 5 minutes. And the kindness felt so real that you decide the cruelty must have been a mistake. An accident. Your fault for taking it wrong. Dev saw it. She never said it out loud, but she'd catch my eye across the table sometimes. Just a glance. And I'd know she saw it too. It kept going. By November, I was monitoring my own behavior constantly. Did I talk too much today? Did I say the wrong thing? Was that why Madison went quiet? I was exhausting myself. And I didn't even fully understand why. Then came the screenshots. ACTFOer. TAC screenshots. It was a group chat. 7 people. Madison had made it in October, right around the time she invited me to the table. I thought it was for making plans. And it was sometimes. But there was another chat. One I wasn't in. I only found out because Bree accidentally sent a message to the wrong group. It was about me, not a mean message, exactly. More like a status update. Like, I was a project being discussed. Bree has been weird lately, has anyone else noticed? And then a string of responses I could only partially see before Bree realized the mistake and deleted them. My face went hot. Then cold. Then I felt that specific kind of nausea that isn't in your stomach. It's somewhere behind your sternum. This hollow drop. I didn't say anything that day. I went to the bathroom between 5th and 6th period and stood at the sink and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, how long has this been going on? That night, I did something I hadn't let myself do yet. I scrolled back through 3 months of the main group chat, and I found the pattern. Little things. Comments that had a second meaning if you looked at them sideways. Inside jokes I'd never understood. because they were about me. Moments where I'd said something in the chat and the response was a single emoji. Not me. Just enough to make me feel stupid for having said anything. I sat on my bedroom floor for a long time. Then I opened a new note on my phone and started writing everything down. That's when I became a protagonist instead of a victim. That's the difference, I think. The moment you stop absorbing what's happening to you and start paying attention to it like evidence. ACT 5. Lan. Here's what I knew by the end of November. I knew Madison had been running a second group chat since October. I knew it had at least 6 members, none of whom were me. I knew there were screenshots of conversations where my name came up repeatedly. Conversations I wasn't part of but was absolutely the subject of. I also knew something Madison didn't know I knew. 2 weeks before I found the screenshots, Madison had gotten called to Vice Principal Chen's office for something unrelated. Some drama with a 6th grader I didn't have the full story on. She'd come back shaken. She didn't show it much, but Dev had noticed, and Dev had told me quietly, Madison is scared of Chen. Like, actually scared. She's the one adult in this building Madison can't charm. I filed that away. Now I pulled it back out. Going to a counselor felt passive. It felt like handing the problem to an adult and waiting for them to fix it while Madison had 2 weeks to get ahead of the story. I'd seen how Madison operated. She'd spin it before I even got there. She'd frame me as the dramatic new girl who misread a group chat and got paranoid. She'd have Chloe and Bree ready to back her up. I needed something different. I needed to not ask for help. I needed to give someone a reason to act. So here's what I did. I made a document. Not a venting document. Not a feelings document. A factual, dated, specific record of every incident I could verify with a screenshot or a witness. The comment about my lunch, timestamped. The wrong group message from Bree, screenshot taken before it was deleted. 6 specific exchanges from the main group chat where I could demonstrate a pattern. Dev's name nowhere in it. I wasn't going to drag her in without her permission. Then I went to Dev. I found her before first period, in the hallway near the water fountains where Madison's group didn't usually show up until 8:20. I need to tell you something, I said. And I need to know if you'll back me up. Not in front of anyone yet. Just. If someone asks you directly, I need you to tell the truth. Dev looked at me for a moment. She had this way of being completely still when she was thinking. Like she turned off every non-essential function to process the information. What are you planning? She said. I'm going to Vice Principal Chen, I said. Not to complain. To show her a documented pattern of targeted social exclusion, and there's a clause in the student code about group communication being used to isolate students. I looked it up last night. Dev stared at me. You looked up the student code, she said. I highlighted it, I said. I have the page number. Something shifted in Dev's expression. Not quite a smile. More like the specific face of someone who has been waiting for a long time to see a thing happen. Okay, she said. I'll tell the truth if they ask me. I nodded. That was all I needed. ACTSESF. FORTYEIGHT, hers. The clock started ticking on a Monday. I knew because Chloe had made a comment at lunch. Half a sentence that died when I looked up, followed by that 1-second glance at Madison. And I recognized it. Something was moving in the background. Madison knew, or suspected, or had been tipped off. I had maybe 2 days before she could build a counter-narrative. I'd already submitted a meeting request to Vice Principal Chen's office through the school portal. That was Sunday night. I didn't go to the counselor. I went to the one adult in the building Madison couldn't charm. But Monday morning, when I checked my email before first period, I saw the auto-reply. Meeting requests processed Tuesday and Wednesday. Expected response within 24 hours. Tuesday. That meant I'd hear back Tuesday and meet. If she agreed to meet. Wednesday at the earliest. And Madison was already moving. I could feel it the way you feel weather before it arrives. A pressure change. A stillness that's too still. At lunch on Monday, the table was quieter than usual. Bree kept looking at her phone. Chloe laughed at something Madison said, but it was a nervous laugh, not a regular one. Madison herself was completely normal with me. That was the scariest part. She asked me about my history project. She passed me the hot sauce. She smiled at me twice. I smiled back. I ate my lunch, kept my face completely neutral, and I thought about page 47 of the Westbrook Student Handbook, and I did not look at my phone once. Tuesday, 11:08 a.m. I got the email. Chen would see me Wednesday at 7:45 a.m. before first period. 40 hours left. ACT CNEAS. Tuesday after school almost destroyed everything. I was in the library making copies of my document. The librarian, Miss Osei, let students use the copy machine after 3 p.m. When I heard the door, I knew the sound of those boots. Madison wore these specific ankle boots with a slight heel, and the left one had a worn-down tip that made a distinct sound on the library's tile floor. Click scrape. Click scrape. My brain went completely white for about 2 seconds. I had 6 pages of printed, dated, highlighted evidence sitting on the copy machine tray. I grabbed them. I flipped them face down. Then I picked up a random book from the return cart next to me, something about the water cycle, and held it like I'd been reading it. Madison appeared around the shelving unit. Oh, hey, she said. I didn't know you came to the library. Yeah, I said, quiet in here, totally. She tilted her head. What are you working on? Okafor Singh, I said. The water cycle project. I held up the book. She looked at the book. She looked at me. Random, she said, and smiled. Super random, I agreed. She went to the printer on the other side of the library. I stood very still. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. After 45 seconds, she printed whatever she needed, waved at me from across the room, and left. I stood at that copy machine for a full minute afterward, not moving. Then I put my 6 pages in my backpack, returned the water cycle book, and walked home. My hands didn't stop shaking until dinner. ACT-IIT. Weedness day. I got to school at 7:38. I sat outside Chen's office on the bench by the main office, and I thought about everything that could go wrong. Madison could have already talked to someone. Chen might not think it was serious enough. Bree might deny the wrong group message. Dev might decide it wasn't worth it when the moment came. I thought about all of it. I thought about it very specifically and very calmly, the way you think through a test you've already studied for. Then Chen's door opened at 7:44, 1 minute early, and she said, "Priya?" She was shorter than I expected. She had reading glasses pushed up on her head and a cup of coffee in her hand, and she looked like someone who had heard many things and been surprised by very few of them. I walked in. I sat down. I put my document on her desk. I said, "I want to show you a pattern, not just a complaint. I've been keeping a record." She looked at the document. She put her coffee down. She picked up the document. I watched her read. I kept my hands flat on my knees so I wouldn't fidget. I'd rehearsed this part too. Not what to say, but how to sit. Dev had told me once, offhandedly, that Chen respected composure, that she responded to people who came in organized, not emotional. I was extremely organized. I was also, underneath the organization, absolutely terrified. My throat was doing that tight thing where it felt like if I spoke too fast I might actually cry, and crying was not part of the plan. Chen finished reading. She set the document down. "This is detailed," she said. "I wanted to be accurate," I said. I didn't want to exaggerate anything. She looked at me for a moment, not like she was judging me. More like she was taking stock. "How long have you been putting this together?" "About 2 weeks," I said. I wasn't sure what to do with it at first. "What made you decide to bring it here?" I thought about the answer. The honest one, not the polished one. Because I realized I'd spent 3 months adjusting my own behavior to avoid upsetting someone who was never going to stop, I said. And I decided that wasn't working. Chen nodded, slowly, like she was filing that away. "I'm going to look into this," she said. "I want you to know that this kind of thing, what you've documented here, it's not something we ignore." She didn't promise me outcomes. She didn't tell me it would be fine. I appreciated that more than I could explain. I picked up my backpack. I stood up. "Thank you for the page number, by the way," Chen said. I stopped. "Sorry?" "The student handbook. You highlighted it." She held up the document. Page 47, highlighted in yellow, with the relevant clause underlined twice. Most students don't do that. "I like to be thorough," I said. For the first time that morning, she smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. I walked out of her office at 8:01. First period started at 8:15. I had 14 minutes. I found Dev at the water fountain. "How'd it go?" she said. "I don't know yet," I said honestly. But I showed her the document. Dev nodded. She handed me half of her granola bar, which I hadn't asked for. "Okay," she said. "Okay." We walked to homeroom. ACT aftermath. I won't pretend it was clean. Chen did investigate. It took a week and a half. Madison was called in twice. Chloe once. Bree once. Dev once. She told me afterward that she'd answered every question, honestly, in complete sentences, without looking at the floor. I found out later that Madison had tried to get there first. She'd sent her mom an email on Tuesday night saying I was spreading rumors about her and creating a hostile environment. Her mom had called the school Wednesday morning. She'd missed Chen's office by about 3 hours. The school didn't tell me everything that happened in those meetings. They weren't supposed to. But here's what I know. By the following Wednesday, the second group chat was deleted. Chloe came up to me in the hallway and said, awkwardly, that she was sorry, which I accepted without making it easy for her. Bree avoided me, which was fine. Madison didn't say anything directly to me for 2 weeks. Then one day at lunch, I was sitting with Dev now at a different table, a smaller one near the windows. She walked past and said, "Hey, Priya," in a normal voice, and kept walking. I said, "Hey back." And that was that. Not dramatic. Not a victory lap. Just a door closing quietly on something that had been open too long. Epilog. Dev and I eat lunch together now. Just us, mostly. Sometimes with a girl named Amara from our English class who's funny in a dry, devastating way that I appreciate enormously. It's a smaller table. Doesn't get the good afternoon light. I like it better. I think about that first day sometimes. Standing outside Okafor's room, trying to find the pencil sharpener, feeling that embarrassing bloom of hope when Madison Reyes looked at me and said cool name like it was a gift she was handing me. I was so relieved to be chosen. I didn't know yet that being chosen by the wrong person is its own kind of trap. That a spotlight isn't warmth. It's just light pointed at you so someone else can see you better. I know that now. I also know how to read a student handbook, how to timestamp a screenshot, and how to sit in a vice principal's office with my hands flat on my knees and my voice steady. Those feel like better things to know.